Everybody, this is Craig Tanner for The Mindful Eye and the Daily Critique. Today's image was submitted by Blake, who's an intermediate photographer. Blake says he took this in the studio as part of a series with this model. Said he was trying for some dramatic lighting and high contrast, but still soft enough for the lighting to be flattering. He said that he wanted to go for a composed, peaceful facial expression here, and Blake says he was using a fan on the model's hair, and we'll talk a little bit more about the setup as it pertains to the lighting. Blake used a Nikon D300, 16 to 85 zoom, and was zoomed to 52, so the effective focal length is 78 millimeters, right around 80 millimeters, a real nice focal length for this kind of a portrait where you're doing head and shoulders or head and partial torso. F8 at a 250th and ISO 250. And Blake says any comments on the lighting would be appreciated, that he used a softbox on either side of the model at a pretty steep angle, to camera right and to camera left. So let's talk for a second about the lighting, since that was Blake's main question. And we could just do a little diagram here and say that we've got a softbox here and a softbox here, and you really get a sense of that. You also get a sense of the angle being pretty steep. You see that here because this softbox over here is creating this accent on the outside of the model's hair, but then it's at enough of an angle for there to be a shadow in between that part of the hair and the face. Then the light comes back in. You see the specular highlight from both of the softboxes on both sides of the nose there, and then a shadow right in the middle of the nose. See a really beautiful specular highlight here, and you also see some beautiful specularity over here. One of the things I love about the lighting is because it's coming at such an angle, we're getting quite a bit of feeling of form. Big difference between highlight and shadow and highlight and shadow and highlight and shadow, and it just keeps happening in the image. And it's happening in a way where the lighting pattern is elegant, and it's mimicking qualities of line that are happening in the image. So I'm really enjoying the powerful feeling of depth that the lighting is creating in the image. Main thing I would say about the lighting here is that on this side, let's talk about this light first. I love everything that this light is doing, with the exception of the light on this hand. And I'd love to flag that off a little bit and tone that down. And while we're there, let's just talk about this hand. I'd love to see the hand and a variation wrapping around the arm here. This shape, even though it's rhythmic, and it is beautifully rhythmic with other parts of the image, and it does sort of a really good job of kind of balancing this part on the diagonal here. It's a flat space shape, it's very bright, and I think that the hand wrapping around here, I might see it and might not like it at all, but I think it would help to do several different things. It would help to break this idea up. It would help to sort of make a sort of a coda or parentheses to the top part of the head here, with the fingers coming around like this. It would also help to break up these lines that are pretty straight up and down in the image. One thing I would try here is to bend her arm a little bit, see if she could still hold this pose with the shoulder up, so that there's a little bit of movement to these lines, but the hand wrapping across here would help to break that up and would do it. I think it would really help to sort of complete the feeling of circle, rhyme this area, and all of this circular movement that's happening in the image. When I look at the light coming from the other side, again, I love what it's doing in terms of a specular highlight on the outside of the hair and driving some depth. I do like what's happening to the light right here in this eye, and I love what this softbox over here is doing to the shoulder and the back. There's some really beautiful, very subtle transitions from highlight to shadow that's driving a real powerful feeling of very subtle depth into this part of the model in the photograph. But what I don't like about what this softbox is doing over here is this big specular highlight right here. Right now, these two areas of specularity are kind of balancing each other, but I'd like to see them go away. It's two flat space shapes that don't really have much at all to do with this part of the portrait. And to me, if Blake is going for this sort of dreamy, peaceful kind of thing, the hair definitely is going along with that in the way that it's been lit. And her eyes and her mouth are paying that off. The shoulder here and the back is definitely playing with that. But then this idea to me is starting to take away from it. So what could we do from a lighting standpoint? This is one where I would start with this softbox over here and flag it off of the hand. Bringing the hand around and changing the angle might get rid of some of the specularity, because quality of light has a lot to do also with just the angle of the light to a subject. If her hand moves just a little bit, it might not be as specular. But I think I would start with a softbox over here and then actually add a fill right behind or above the camera, big soft fill, and play around with turning it up and down, and that would be my starting point. And I'd let the light fall off big time over here, maybe just getting the light into one eye, maybe more of sort of a Rembrandt lighting pattern on this side of the face, and let this fall off. And then you could, if you got enough fill on this part of the back, you could really do whatever you wanted to do in this area, because it would be low contrast enough. You could create all the effects that you see here. It's going to be really hard to come back now and retouching and tone this down and tone this down, particularly working in a color file. So again, instead of having the two key lights here, I think I might have one. What would I want to do if I would want to create these effects back here? Maybe an accent light, something like that. So that's my take on the lighting. Because we're doing this a little backwards and I just jumped right into talking about lighting, I love this portrait. I love what Blake has done here. Model is stunningly beautiful. She's got beautiful hair. Blake's lighting is showing the hair off. Not only just the hair by itself is beautiful in the image, and the use of the fan. There's a lot of really beautiful rhythm in here. The way this has been framed, the specular highlight here, and then this beautiful circle of the back here. Those two things play in a really beautiful way. The fan here in this shape and playing off of the hand here, and just this overall feeling that Blake has achieved here, a circular movement. Very, very powerful. And then with sort of all roads do really end up leading you back to the main idea in the image. Love the simplicity of the background here. A lot of things to like about this. Besides the lighting, when I think about Perfect World Improvement for this one, I am a fan of using soft focus filters in certain situations, and it's pretty easy to create this effect in Photoshop, or you could shoot one on the camera. This is so dreamy, and with the hair being blown in a way where that's sort of a dreamy thing, and you've got the eyes closed and looking down, and just the gesture with the hand and the shoulder. I personally would take this in a little bit more of a dreamy direction in terms of the feeling of flow of focus. This is the kind of thing that can just divide a room right down the middle, and people can get into a pretty heated thing about the soft focus filter, because you go number one to the whole kind of airbrushed idea and not keeping it real, and kind of reinforcing this stereotype about beauty that is unreal. And there are just a lot of retouchers that don't like the soft focus idea, that it sort of takes something away from who a person really is. I came in knowing all that. I still did it. I came in and I toned the shadow that's being caused by the steep angle of the lighting and that dimple on the edge of the mouth, because I think it gives a heaviness to the mouth, where this is about a peaceful, light, dreamy expression. And then I did a big soft focus filter effect, and it really changes the way that you look at the image. I always exaggerate for the daily critique because it's a small video, and this is on its own layer, so we could turn the opacity down here. We could play around with that. And now that I'm watching this again after I did the Photoshop work, I might turn it down to something like that. But I do like softening this up quite a bit by just using the soft focus filter effect. I came in and I darkened the top left-hand corner of the background. I just didn't see any need to have that flow of light on the background. I don't think it's helping pay off the expression here. I think it's pulling your eye sort of away from it. And then I added a pretty dramatic lighting effect to the hair on this side. I did that because I'm trying to balance this real high contrast line and sort of keep the eye coming back over to here. And I feel like this puts more weight on this part of the face, which is my favorite part of the image. And I think it also creates a little bit more balance from left to right. And then I just came in overall with kind of a halo effect on the background and the hair to push this idea of just sort of a circle going all the way around in the image. So this is where we started, and this is where we ended up. Would love to hear people's feedback about what we've done here today. Stunning portrait from Blake. Really beautiful job of using lighting to create dimension. Really great job here posing and achieving the sort of feeling that Blake was going for in the studio. I want to say a huge thank you to Blake for sharing this beautiful portrait with us on the Mindful Ass Daily Critique.